Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the Court of the EDI Jester. I hope you're all well. Today we are in Australia, down under. Hello, Australia. Specifically, a rather wonderful place called Tasmania. Now, most of you will only know Tasmania from the Tasmanian Devil. Do you remember him in cartoons years ago? He used to do all that, didn't he, and whiz round and round. Actually, there was a great film years ago called The Twilight Zone. It was a film that had 4 separate stories in it, and there was one with a kid that could produce cartoon characters, and there was an amazing Tasmanian Devil in that. I haven't thought about that for years. So anyway, there we are, we're in Tasmania, right? Okay. It is an extraordinarily beautiful place. I think something like 40% of it is natural parks. They've got the most extraordinary animal life there, and it's a huge destination for tourists. So I was somewhat surprised to see that Tasmania appears to be, in terms of its government, completely bloody mental, right? So Australians, down under, if you're watching, right, which I hope you are during the night, when I'm in sleep, when I'm trying to sleep, that, you'll give us some idea of what the real situation is. We could hear from you perhaps on Twitter or in the comments of the YouTubes. But please do share this as I take you through an article from abc.net.au, who are mental anyway. They're round the bend, abc.net.au. But it's interesting because this is what Tasmania's done. With all that beauty and all that, marvellous tourist attraction stuff, we get this. Okay? Tasmania is the first state to officially recognise those who identify as asexual, adding the A to the LGBTIQ+. What? Right. Who identifies as asexual. That's not a sexual orientation. Is it? Right? Nobody cares who you're porking. Am I right? Okay, so asexual. Get stuffed. Get stuffed is what I'd say. Can you imagine what if they all got together? Asexuals assemble. But not too close. Nobody cares. God damn it. These people are deranged. Right, so in short, the Tasmanian government has become the first state to officially recognise those who identify as asexual, aromantic, or agender. It's just nonsense. They're writing nonsense into their laws. They're writing nonsense into their laws, and they are in time going to pay the price for this, because it will be, the law of unintended consequences. Because they're giving people who are mental, right, who are not well at all, who are obviously completely deranged and inculcated in the belief system that you and I know is so damaging, a position in law that they shouldn't have. Tasmania, you are in deep trouble. You just don't know it. The schoolyard in regional Tasmania could be a challenging place for Ash McCulloch. When I was going through school, I think the 2 most hard-hitting put-downs were dyke and frigid, Ash said. Going through school and somebody called you frigid. What was going on in that school? Is it me or is that a red flag? It really hit me hard, and it has cost me a lot emotionally having that sort of narrative put in my head and internalised in me. I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. It wasn't until their 20s that Ash came across the term asexual. And wait for it, the broader A spectrum. Oh, shades of the speculum. Right. It fit in perfectly with their experiences of having less sexual attraction to others. Well, are they asexual, in which case they don't have any? Or have they got less sexual attraction to others, in which case they're not as horny as most people? Or they can't get their head around the fact that they're an adult and it might be a good idea to have a go? Ooh, maybe? I don't know, you tell me. It was hard to start with because there's such a huge societal expectations around relationships. Is there? What's happening in Tasmania? Are they enforcing gender stereotypes on people? You must be this, you must be that. And if you actually behave like the gender stereotype, we're going to make you that by cutting your bits off. Is that what's going on? Everything made more sense, including having a preference of bringing a friend to social outings as a significant other. And having emotional relationships taking greater precedence over sexual attraction. So this individual's got friends. Right? Okay. Don't. There's a picture of the individual. Yeah. I'll leave you to decide. Right. I thought that in previous relationships there was a problem with the relationship because I wasn't experiencing that attraction, Ash said. You've got no sexual function, Ash. Get to the doctors. You're young. I come to realise that it wasn't a problem in the relationship. It wasn't a problem at all. It's just who I am. No, we don't accept the fact that you as a human being, who should have a natural sexual function, certainly at your age, is an identity, right? You need to go to the doctors. There's something wrong with you. And God knows whether that something wrong with you could become bigger. Go to the doctors. Quickly. You're unwell at that age. My age, can't find it. I don't play with it. You, on the other hand, get to the doctors. With a label that finally fit. I love it. With a label that finally fit. I mean, they say the quiet bit out loud. What is this insanity? What is it? They felt comfortable to discuss their asexual experiences. How do you have an asexual experience? I know what she means. Or he means, or it means. Right, asexual experience in the same way when anyone talks about their sexuality. This included while performing stand-up comedy. An important step. I just don't get aroused. I know what I'll do. I'll pretend I'm the next Eddie Izzard. Oh, might be the next Eddie Izzard. The first step was doing stand-up comedy. I'm sorry, it's just so insane. One of the other people who performed at this particular event came up to me afterwards and said they were basically in tears and said, "Thank you so much for talking about this. I've never had the guts to talk about this in my comedy." Is there a sudden outbreak of asexuality in comedians that I don't know about? Because most comedians that I've known in my life are horny little buggers. There was still something missing, though. In Australia, the initialism LGBTIQ++ is an official use. It doesn't have an A, which until now has been grouped under the plus. So they're just dissecting themselves more and more. It's like until they'll end up with the individual. Tossers! The A represents asexual, people who have little to no sexual attraction to others. Aromantic, people who experience little to no romantic attraction. And agender people who feel disconnected from the concept of gender identity. Right. So they're identifying themselves as a non-believer of a belief system that nobody has to believe. Right. Okay. Secondly, they're saying that we're not romantically attracted to anybody actually. So they don't have romantic attractions and they don't have sexual attractions. Right, so they're a gender atheist who's unwell. Get it? Right? Get it? Like any sexual identity, it is a broad spectrum. No, it's not. There's no spectrum of, well, sexuality, there's no spectrum. You're either gay or straight. It's straightforward, really. Some people are bi, get over it. And like any sexual identity, it is a broad spectrum. Well, that's because you're making it up. You think it's about identity. You don't identify as that. I identify as an asexual. What do I have to do now? What do I do to accommodate you? Don't say knob. What do I have to do to accommodate you as an asexual? That I don't have to do to anybody else, right? You're a victim garnering idiot, is what you are. But the plus broadly covers those under the other letters who don't quite fit those exact categories. They are absolutely insane, and Tasmania's put it in law. Poor Tasmania. If there's anybody watching from Tasmania, get in the comments and tell us what the bloody hell's going on. Then they've got some examples of people who don't broadly fit under the plus. People under the plus that don't broadly fit. Examples might be non-binary trans who fit under the T, but also the plus. People on the A spectrum believe the plus does not always correspond to their own experiences, and having their own A category gives them their own visibility. They are literally marketing themselves as if they are going to be put on a shelf to be purchased. Because that's what happens when you play with social media too much. You curate your life instead of living it, and you make yourself a brand rather than a person. That's what happens. And that is what this oddball has done. Sam Watchman, oh my God, we got another one. Good God almighty. There's a picture of him too. Sam Watchman, who lives in the region of Tasmania, town of Latrobe, said being seen as a plus did not fit asexual identities. Nobody gives a shit. Shit, honestly. Including us under the plus, our experiences, identities, and being is invalidated. Nobody's going to validate you. It's nobody's job to validate you. Grow up. And we are essentially dismissed by society, and I'm not viewed as being significant or of any importance to consider. What? I mean, if you talk rubbish like this, of course, you imagine being sat around a dinner table with somebody like this. I just go, right, okay, I want you to get up and I want you to leave. Right, you are obviously insane. You are unwell. And you need to leave. Because you believe that you are a brand that you are selling to the world. You have no sense of what it means to build a character from your personality. Because you are deeply flawed from the beginning. Not because you're stupid, but because you're probably unwell. If you don't get a boner to the right thing, or if you don't have a freeze-on of a fanny, when somebody goes, willow, when they see something, steal my beating heart. If you ain't getting that, you're not well. Get to the doctors, right? Get to the doctors. So that's Sam, right? And then Sam said, one of the biggest barriers was in healthcare, where asexual identities were often seen as something that needed to be fixed. Nobody cares you aren't sleeping with or falling in love with, Sam, unless you're unwell. And you better go and get that checked in case you are. As a mask-presenting person, what does that even mean? A mask-presenting person, people make assumptions about your sexuality and your identity. People seek to provide a reason for why we are asexual in the health system. Well, it is a health problem. What the hell's wrong with you? You average bloke, right? 21 years old, all of a sudden, nothing. Can you imagine? I mean, the irony is these people are probably frigging themselves off every 15 minutes, right? That's not the point. The point is that they've now put this into law in Tasmania. And, oh boy, are Tasmania going to live to regret that one? Without a shadow of a doubt. Because you know as well as I do, gender identity, ideology, queer theory, none of it gets a look in law. It needs to be eradicated from the public sphere. That's it and all about it. Go and read the rest of it, because there's another one there as well. They've got a picture of the other person. Oh, gosh, yes, they have. Go and have a look. Go and have a look. Right, okay. I'll put the link in the doobaries. My apologies to Tasmanians everywhere for condemning your what is a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. But it looks to me like you've all lost the bloody plot. And if I was you, I'd take to the streets and get this changed. See you later, Tasmania. You never know. Other things may happen. I'll keep you informed as and when we are able to do so. Australia, I salute thee. Down under.